Hello, hello. I woke up again giving a lecture. I always wake up giving a lecture. It's so bizarre. I have 1,000 dreams, ideas for the future, millions of innovative insights, and after each night my brain rejuvenates and realigns itself and brings up new insights and new associations and understanding and drawing the lines between the dots. And it is important for me to observe people on the internet. Sometimes it's very depressing, sometimes it is very interesting, and sometimes it gives me just humongous insights into all of these questions that I have asked my whole life. Because the good thing about the internet is people don't hide their thoughts. Not even in video form, and neither do I, and that's wonderful. But particularly not in drive-by commenting form. So it is like it's like a free feast for anybody who wants to do focus group work, who wants to gather their own statistics for scientific evaluations in the field of psychology, neurology, sociology, and so on. And what I see is very, very interesting. He has something to say, and that is love is all that matters. It's more important than science or getting into your head, or reading, or love is the most important factor in all of this. I want to compliment Anne Kantavat. I hope I pronounced this name correctly now. It is a name from the Bhagavad Gita, I believe. They have these amazing names, Avalokiteshvara, and wonderful, wonderful names like this. Yadosara. Yadosara, that's my former incarnation. Yadosara. And Kenny's former incarnation is the Buddha. So you see, Kenny and I are back together, and that's why we have such a strong, amazing energy bond. People, they always get worked up on those kind of things. We should just smile more about these things, and not be so mad at each other's beliefs. Why should we? That's crazy. I mean, if somebody is preaching someone into the ground, that's not cool. Everybody should have their own belief, and even if I don't agree with somebody about, let's say, UFOs or Mother Mary being so advanced or something, I don't agree with that, and I don't agree with that there are some kind of gray ETs out there. I'm sorry. We should laugh. We should. I'm not laughing about you people. I find it amusing. You know, I find it totally amusing that David Icke was running through those UFO events and coming to the interviewer with an exhausted, like this. I was just running. I just wanted to, check this and that person, and I think David Icke is cracking me up. He's an awesome guy. I don't agree with him on everything. There's some things I find interesting, but most of the things that he talks about I don't agree with. He throws Hillary Clinton into that conspiracy thing, and then he denies global warming and all that kind of stuff. So it's like corporate bandwagon. I would invite him to my house and it would be fun. I just don't serve alcohol here. So no beer in my house. But there's so many people I like. I like Stuart Hameroff, although I don't quite agree with some of the stuff he says, but I find him extremely entertaining. I just don't want him to be my anesthesiologist, particularly if I don't agree with him. I'm in a jolly mood. Now I'm saying a couple of things that I am most likely going to remove. Anyway, that's what always happens, and then I have these like edited, because in between I say something that I later on think, oh my god, I'm bubbling away here, and then it will be totally not appreciated by people's egos. So that's why I have to be careful. I want to be careful, and I want to touch people gently, and even though I mean all of this gently, it's not perceived as gently by the egos. The egos are very sensitive. They get mad. I like Anik Kantawat because he has an amazing voice. His voice is firm, masculine, deep, assertive, kind, caring, strong, and I totally see why he has a young wife. I totally get it. Yeah, there are some men who when they're getting a little older, like over 50, and they still have a young wife. That's because they are taking very good care of themselves, and they are there for the other person. They are really there for that other person, and they feel that other person, and it's not just this hungry ghost type of craving. When a man has a hungry ghost type of craving, there are some, I don't want to mention the names now, because then I will get sued. Some people are very sue happy nowadays, and I don't have any money to give, so it'll be completely a waste of time and energy to sue me, because I don't own anything. Anyway, some men, they are older and they want young women, and they don't want to give anything. They don't want to, they want to get the young woman like it's like they get a car, but they don't want to give that being anything. and then no woman wants them, and then they go, I'm entitled to it. I don't see why I can't get it, and he gets it. So I tell you why he gets it. He gets a young woman because he makes an effort to make her life good. Okay, he massages her, he buys her things that are practical, that are good, not diamonds and shit like this, but like making their lives better. Okay, productivity, not nonsense, not egoic garbage. So yeah, and that's why I make videos, because I'm trying to help people. I'm trying to get some sense into people and get them to understand we cannot heal until we look at the issues. Okay? We need to look at our issues, or we don't even know what to work on. So, and I see that in most people, women and men alike, they are dabbling along in very impotent ways of thinking. Very impotent. And their old trauma shines through. I see that right away. I have a very trained eye in this. A lot of people have been shamed by their parents and humiliated. And then later on they stutter, and including myself, okay, but I'm working on it. But most people are totally unaware of it. They forgot about all of this. It is smoldering under layers of egoic armor, and just layers of thick fog that is built around it, denial fog, and so on. And what's even worse is when people are, when I wake up, I need to write this down right away, or maybe I will record it into my tablet next time. That's what I'm gonna do. It's just a little bit more difficult to upload this, but I'm gonna do this because when I wake up, I really have to record this. Now I'm losing the thread of thought that I had earlier. I know I had a real important thought, and then it eluded me because a couple of things happened now in the meantime that got me distracted. That's why it is important that I either write it down or I just record it real quickly. I don't have to show myself when I wake up like with greasy hair or my hair's all undone and all of this. So I'll record it outside of the window, and then I will just say it into my tablet, and then I can upload that later onto this computer. So that's what I'm going to do tomorrow, if I wake up with some important thoughts again. So now more than half of this stuff is gone now. It's somehow, maybe I will remember it later on, but I just want to do free talking and not necessarily read from a script or anything, or from kind of thoughts that I wrote down. It's much better for me to train to talk freely like this and just go with the flow of my thinking and recollecting of concepts that I have thought of before. So most people are in a fog, and they are not conscious about it, and that's why it is so important that we take a look within. It can not be done in too large of a leap. You can't probe into yourself like all the way to the ground, usually not in one day. I mean, you have to do in increments that are acceptable for the ego, because the ego is there. It is there to protect you. It's there to protect the child, as Arjanov said, the defense mechanism, which is the ego, was there to protect the child some children would have died if they didn't have the ego or the defense mechanism to cover all of that up. Kind of like retrograde amnesia, but much more intense in terms of armor, like almost like a self-delusion that's going on in order to make it through a trauma. The problem is later on that armor, that defense or ego, will stand in the way of having true insights into yourself or others or the world around you. So, and that's very much of an obstacle for making life on earth better, because we should be in a flow of constant and never-ending improvement, kaizen called in Japanese. We should be constantly improving and looking for ways to improve things, and that's the flow of the infinite universe. And that's important. There are so many things that are stagnated on so many levels here on earth that we could do better, we could improve so tremendously, and I have thousands and thousands of ideas on how to do it. Some are more on the level of like practicability, and some are more on the level of mind and philosophy. But all of it ties in with one another. So I also recommend to other people, when you have a great idea, write it down or record it into your tablet or whatever you have right there to your use, like a phone or something, or maybe just like a James Bond bug here on your shirt. Whatever it is, record it into it. We need to gather as much information as we can on improving our lives. That's very, very important. So then I see a lot of people who are just, for example, Gary in Mentham has a lot of positive things about him, and it's a good person, basically. The problem is that people like him, they see themselves as complete victims, and they dwell in that state, and that's something that's very important that Pema Children was addressing, and also Eckhart Tolle was talking about, that when we're driving down in a car on a freeway and there's a storm hitting the car, and the car swerves over because of the storm, and we might end up in a ditch, right? We may be angry in all of this and upset and cry, but we're not going to blame the wind or the storm. Maybe we'll blame the Republicans for causing global warming, but we're not going to blame the storm itself. And in a way, that should also, that's a philosophy behind it, that we should not blame. I was talking to Paul about this last night. We should not be in a state of mind of blame, and that's what Gary Mentham is in, this angry state, this frozen, clenching state of blame. Because ultimately, everything is like the storm. Everything is like the wind. The wind doesn't know better. Okay? The Republicans causing global warming ultimately don't know better either. Someone's wife who cheated on the person ultimately doesn't know what she was doing either. When really go down to the nitty-gritty of determinism. That doesn't mean that everything is so determined that we don't have a choice and therefore get rid of our responsibility in the process, which a lot of people do. The modern mystic Nick, for example, I had weeks and months of debates with him in common form. I made him some videos too, back like 8 years ago or so, talking to him about determinism, and that there is still a range of decision making if we want to. There's still a will, right? I mean, we're not complete puppets. There's still a range, you know. Ultimately, yes, it is a deterministic function, but we can also learn. We have this freedom to learn, and that's why we make videos. Otherwise it wouldn't even make any sense at all to make videos or to write books or anything if we thought that people had absolutely no flexibility whatsoever. Of course we all have flexibility, some people more than others, but that flexibility itself can also be trained. So there is a range of growing, of learning, and learning from mistakes and all of this. And so in this realm of freedom, of learning and expansion, okay, we can make progress, but we should really stay away from blame, the blaming. My husband has that down pretty well too, and that's why he really likes Gary and Mentum. He feels completely like that's his total ally, and totally defends him. He's not watching him all the time, but he always, when I say something, he always defends him. And I understand, and I like him too, and I wish him the best, and I see that he's a good person in all of this, has a lot of good things to say. But he's dwelling in misery. That's also why he doesn't like life, and I know because I've been in these state of minds many times myself. I have been on both sides, so to speak. Okay? I have been in both realms many times, back and forth in my life. I have attempted suicide 2 times. I have been suicidal for the most part of my life. So I know very well all of this. But I also decided that I can read books, and I can read the right books, and I'm not gonna dwell in Schopenhauerism, Garyism. Gary is the reincarnation of Schopenhauer, by the way. I saw other people who saw that too. And it's pretty obvious, they even look a little bit alike. But we are not stuck in this, okay? We can get out of this, out of that realm. The infinite universe is infinity, and therefore has infinite possibilities, and therefore has infinite options and realms that we can get in. It is up to us. We really have that choice. And I remember my therapist Esther Odermatt in St. Gallen, Switzerland, who said to me, Nicola, do you have a choice? And then I was supposed to say yes, and then I was supposed to say yes, I can get out of it right now. The problem was she was not in a state of teaching in that moment, and that's why I did not learn anything, or I did not get any help. we need to be really in the state of being there for that the client. And if we can't do that, then we cannot be a therapist. And that's also what Wolfgang said. Wolfgang, the shamanic healer, was very great. Okay. So tons and tons and tons of thoughts. I don't know where to start. I lose my train of thought. Lots of things going on here. We do have choices. We do have options. We do have infinite realms that we can get into. Infinite mental states. And we can choose the mental state we want to be in. That was very difficult for me to learn. But I understand that now 100% that this works, because I have practiced it too. And there's a guy named Wim Hof. I want everybody to check him out. I'll put a link under the video. Wim Hof is from Denmark. He's also called the Iceman, because he will hike up to Mount Everest in shorts, t-shirts and sandals without socks on. And he learned how to meditate, and he learned how to put himself into a different state, mentally and physically. He goes into ice water and sits there for half an hour. Other people would die. And he teaches people how to do it. And to me, that's a huge inspiration. That's also exactly on the same level what Tony Robbins is talking about. Tony Robbins used to do those seminars where people walked over glowing coals. And there is no trick in it. There is no, that is not a scam. This is for real. It is mind over matter, and it works. And a lot of skeptics, they just don't want to accept it. They don't want to accept it, just like other people who believe in Santa don't want to accept science. In that sense, both of it is equally much in denial. So we need to really open our horizon and our minds that the world we live in is not that materialistic, and it's not that fixed in concrete. It's not solid, okay? It is, everything is in a state of flow. And what is the most shocking and amazing is what really turns science completely upside down, is that our minds are in complete communication with material things around us. Most people don't believe this, and of course, because they live in a way that they make certain experiences and they come to fast conclusions about things, and they don't explore enough. But there is, our minds can really determine our reality. That's the most interesting thing that I learned from Esther Hicks in particular, but also from other people. And Esther Hicks is a very corporate type of person. I don't know whether this is intentional or not. I said that before in my videos. So a lot of people, they will latch onto the corporate bandwagon and say, oh well, according to Esther Hicks, I don't have any responsibilities. You know, this is a terrible, terrible mistake to make, because we have responsibilities. This is, as Wolfgang said, this is it's a school. Being here on Earth, it's a learning ground, and it requests from us to learn, expand, move forward, move towards love and light, and we have a huge responsibility for other living beings, other earthians around us, animals and humans, okay? And the plants and the forests that we depend on. Huge responsibility. And Esther Hicks kind of puts this all into this very corporate denominator. And that's what I do not accept. But beyond that, the thought, the idea that everything is in a flow, and this law of attraction, that we can create realities with our minds, that's the truth. I have experienced it. I have really gone into it myself. I have explored it in depth, so I know it exists. It's there. We have a lot of power. Every one of us. See, the corporate agenda wants us to think that we have no power at all. And then this whole book, The Secret, and this film the very first film, What the Bleep Do We Know? That was geared towards getting people to understand that we are in a communication with our outside environment, and that everything is this form of matrix that reacts and interacts. That was much more pro-power for each person. The later version, The Secret, whoever made that film, was one that Esther Hickson and wanted to steal her copyrights, which I understand made Esther Hicks very angry and refused to work with her at all. I would have done the same thing, because why work with a crook, right? But this crook person is who then took other people, including real heavy scam artists who have killed people, ended up in prison. This one guy, in particular, I can't watch that film because of this one guy in this one terrible, terrible, detached from life crook who made a woman jump out of a window and stuff like this, I heard. Because he had her sign over an insurance policy to him or something. So he cashed on, and I think he cashed in on life insurance, and told her that if she thought she could fly, she should jump out of the window and then she can fly. And she actually did this. People see, that's this other thing that I'm talking about. How easily people are brainwashed, and how easily people believe what someone else says. It could be a scam artist, and people believe that too. You know, we need to, as Terence McKenna always said, we need to separate shit from shinola. And that is exactly true. And we have to constantly think about this, you know. What is shit and what's shinola? You know? What is the shiny stuff and what's the shitty stuff? You know? Throw out the shitty scam artists, and that's why Jiddu Krishnamurti said we need to, when we hear something, we need to explore it for ourselves. So an atheist or skeptic out there would, if they are not willing to explore something, then they stay on that plateau where they are with their minds, and that is their lives. And that their lives very materialistic, that's how they want to see it, and that's how it will also present itself to them in their lives. So nothing miraculous is going to present itself to them, and even if it did, they would deny that it had to do with a flux of interaction between us and the outside world, or with our minds. They would just deny it. So just as much as Christians will deny global warming or science or evolution. And so that's why it is so unbelievably important to listen to those people who are panpsychists, like Dr. Ben Goertzel. I'm the huge fan of him. He's an amazing guy. Interesting, mysterious, unique, gorgeous, attractive, everything. That guy really has everything going for himself. And he has also a young wife, and it's clear. It's very clear to me why, because, and I've seen how many women are totally fans of him and are in love with him, and a lot of women that are crying, "Oh, I'm not in his league," and I'll comfort them and say, well, don't tell yourself that. You need to believe in yourself. You're beautiful the way you are, whether he likes you or not. Don't put yourself down ever. So this is not a way of life. We need to empower ourselves. We need to write affirmations, and we need to hang it up. And 1,000 things that I want to say. I want to thank Eric, Nomadic Fanatic, for his support and his kindness towards me when I was really feeling really down and out. He helped me a whole lot. He wrote emails to me that were the sweetest and kindest, and that dissolved an entire block of unempowerment. And just these sweet, kind words, this love in words is so powerful. And that's where we need to model ourselves after people like Eric. Eric is an angel, and Dr. Kurzweil is a cyber guard, and Ben Goertzel is a cyber guard. They're here to make life better for us. Let's look at these people and learn from them, and move forward towards light and love. Not listen to our egos. Talk to your ego. Say to your ego, I know you want to protect me now from further humiliation, but let me look at the picture. Let me look at this current situation right now. This woman, let's say, let's take one example. A guru gets criticized by a young woman or younger woman, whatever. Let's say a 70-year-old guru gets criticized by a 30-year-old woman. And his ego will say, she doesn't know anything, okay? She's just young, and she is a woman. There's still the sexism that shines through, and she doesn't know what she's talking about, and she's just a troll, or da-da-da-da, So, and now we hate her, and now we want nothing to do with her, don't even answer back. Okay, so let's take this situation. What can he say that will make the situation better for himself? He can say to himself, ego, I know you tried to help me in the past, and you helped me get through tremendous pain, and parents not feeling you and not being there for you and humiliating you and all that stuff, Father humiliating you. Terrible. There are so many examples. James Hetfield, Ted Nugent, just to name a handful, or what's this orange-haired guy, Chuck Norris. Okay, so lots and lots and lots of men who later act this out because they don't want to go within and face it, what's underneath. If they could just do this, what a burden would be taken off their shoulders if they could just face this and sit with it and meditate and relax with this, and not rely on other people or on magic things or on whatever mantras or what, but really go within and really introspect and really say, man, I'm going to consciously, and this is where our freedom comes in. We have freedom. We have a realm in which we have the freedom of decision making. We can make the conscious, will-powered decision. I'm going within myself and I'm introspecting and I'm finding out, okay, I was acting out here in this situation. I was wrong to that other person because my ego felt threatened by that other person. Okay. So now what can I do? This immediately is a relief to say, okay, this was my responsibility here and I was not being responsible because I listened to my ego. So what can I do in that moment? What can this old guru do in that moment? He can let go. Practice this every single day in increments. Other people have done it too with great success. There's a few people who have done it. Learn from Eckhart. Eckhart's ego wanted to have success, and he had great success. He got his degrees with summa cum laude from Cambridge. Not very many people can do this. I believe in psychology and philosophy, and he's a master in that area. But then he realized this was ego acting out, and then he fell into a depression because he's so smart that he saw that he was acting out, and that then he didn't know how to continue from there on. He fell into depression, and out of the depression he let go. After he let go, he fell asleep, and in the sleep he was connected to the infinity, and then the infinity told him all is well. And from then on he understood. He made the connection. Aha, this is what they mean by, this is what the Buddhists have been trying to tell me. Because he studied all of this, all of that intellectually. There were many points where he most likely felt it too, on a deeper level, but he was too much in his intellect. And then when he let go, all of this became clear. And then he was free from that egoic suffering. That doesn't mean that doesn't mean that one thing like this will, there's no such thing as the ego dies. There's no such thing. It was just a major understanding. He was in the realm, and he had to, but we all have to make an effort and work on staying in that realm of no ego, and not acting out. So we have to constantly work on it. But he had the privilege of having like a major experience like this, where he really understood it. See, there's this old saying, you learn the hard way, The harder you learn, the firmer it sits, yes? Or if we have to learn it 10 times, after the 10th time maybe it really sits with us, because then we see, I don't want to go back to that suffering state. So, and then we really make a conscious effort. It's an incentive for us. Then we make a conscious effort to stay in this alertness. And that's what Jiddu Krishnamurti and Dr. David Bohm were talking about in these very precious discussions that are archived in Ojai, California, and it's on the internet for everybody to see. And there's a real important conversation between Jiddu Krishnamurti and Pupul Jayakar, who is also a guru lady from India. And what I really liked was the way she surrendered herself to him. It's like, not in a worshipping, we have to become very, very consciously alert about this. Don't worship someone. That's egoic too. But don't act out like you are superior. See, all of those are act outs. Surrender to someone means, for example, the guru that I described with the 30-year-old hard teacher, that came his path, that he doesn't want to acknowledge as a teacher. But if he acknowledged that woman as a teacher, the hard teacher, the troll, maybe he might call her troll, but those are real important teachers too, the trolls. They don't hold back with the truth. They all say it straight out, because they want people to be hurting. A lot of it is also just to make someone hurt, but a lot of it might even be true. But at least we can, instead of dismissing it, we can say, what about it is true? Maybe I can go within myself and see what about she or what he said to me is really true. Is there something true about it? Let me find out. And so this is what Jiddu Krishnamurti was teaching. Find out for yourself. Don't take somebody else's word for it. Go within yourself and really explore these possibilities. Am I acting out? Would it be better if I listened to her or him? And then surrender, like what Pupul Jayaka did. She surrendered to Jiddu Krishnamurti. A couple of times it was a little hurting here and there, but she didn't give in to it. Instead, she listened to him. She really, and it wasn't very easy, but she listened. If you watch that interview, you will see. That's a role model, that woman, because she made a real, direct, conscious effort to sit there and listen to Jiddu Krishnamurti and what he really is trying to say to her. And then there's a consciousness becoming process. Okay, she may not be completely enlightened at the end of the discussion, but the more she listens to him and the more they discuss and explore these things together, that's what Dr. David Bohm also did. They're on eye level. See, this is what I'm trying to say. We need to get rid of hierarchy. We need to go on eye level with me. Okay, whether you thought you are the troll that is above everybody, come down from the pedestal, from the cloud pedestal. Or if you think you need to be mesmerized, come up from your bottom dwelling. Look in parallel eye level with each other. The animals have a lot to teach us. Look in eye level with them. Look in eye level with each other. Look in eye level with your children. They have a lot to teach you. Don't say to your children, this is silly what you're painting there, or this is silly what you're saying. The other day I met a real interesting teenager. He said to me he found a time machine, and he went into the time machine and he saw the world in the year 3000. And everything is just robots. There's very few humans. And they're all having an amazing time. They're really enjoying their lives. And I see that too, that future, So, but we have to make an effort to move towards it and not be in resistance towards paradise. Paradise. That's the meaning of life, is paradise. But my husband, for example, when I told him, the first thing will come out of his mouth is that guy is on acid, or he's crazy, or he's just watches video games. He got that from his video games, whatever. I would never do this. I would never say something like this. Why should I? Why should I spoil his fantasies and his creativity flow? Why should I say something negative? What I said to him is, that is super, super interesting what you're saying there, and I would have liked to continue talking to him, but his grandmother obviously doesn't like me, as it is the typical case. I give people my card, and I talk to my blah 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 blah, you know, I say a bunch of things that are so totally out of their realm that they cannot possibly be friends with me. There's just absolutely no possible way. I should have given the kid my card instead. Maybe he would have contacted me. I want to talk to children and everybody who is creative. You know, I would like to meet Elita Andre. What an inspiration that person is, you know. And I listen to everybody. Children are way more in tune with infinity. They have not closed themselves up yet. You know, they are still in the artistic flow of things. And we need more of this, because, and that's why some people take hallucinogenic drugs, because that puts them back into the flow of that matrix, of that infinite connectivity that we are in. But I say, you don't need to destroy your brain in order to get to that flow. Why not go within yourselves and have a communication with your ego and say, ego, you know, I don't want to take hallucinogenic mushrooms right now in order to make you go to sleep for an hour. I want you to go to sleep without the mushrooms. Maybe just take some valerian root and go to sleep. And relax, ego, relax, and let me explore, okay? And instead of being afraid of being judged by somebody, okay, I need to, that's why I left the garage door open, because I know I get more stuff coming today. So, now that looks good. But anyway, what if I just explore and go within myself and just not do the ego, not allow the ego to dominate, you know, then I can relax into the flow of life and accept everything. So I'm gonna have to close up the video now. So anyway, food for thought. Take care, peace out, bliss out, take care of yourselves, bye.